What is going on, guys? It is Wrestlelamia here, back with another video. Join us now as we look at this week's edition of the Red Brand, as well as the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know, including WWE Return Cancelled, WWE still made huge changes to Raw, CM Punk not suing AEW, WWE morale backstage has been destroyed, Mandy joins OnlyFans, and much more. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos, and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. Also check out our new channel, Wrestlelamia Shorts. As always, we won't recap the show, but just look at the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. As always, we start off with the good as number 1, Nia Jax being booked as a monster. Despite some fans questioning the WWE's decision to bring back Nia Jax, there's no doubt the WWE is booking her very strongly. Not only did Jax lay out Raquel Rodriguez and Rhea Ripley last week, but the WWE wrote them off TV last night with a kayfabe injury. Jax is the type of wrestler who has no problem playing a monster heel, as she has a size and attitude to carry it off. If she can avoid accidentally injuring opponents, she could be the first real threat to Rhea Ripley and keep the rest of the women's division on its toes as they look to avoid her wrath. Number 2, Ricochet's push continues. Ricochet's match against Shinsuke Nakamura was an example of how to use him as more than a random enhancement talent. The WWE appears to have a good role for him as someone who is more than Seth's sidekick, but clearly not at the same level. Ricochet's willingness to fight the King of Strong style to pay him back for his recent attacks on himself as well as Seth make him a sympathetic character. More important, the WWE is making him a credible threat to Nakamura, so he doesn't appear to be a sacrificial lamb, even though the goal is to give Seth another reason to want Nakamura in the ring. Number 3, a good match with Kofi and Ivar. The WWE made the most of a bad situation, as the Viking Raiders vs the New Day 2 out of 3 Falls match was reportedly scrapped due to Xavier Woods not being medically cleared. Kofi and Ivar put on an engaging match, and while the outcome wasn't in doubt, mainly because the Raiders have been jobbed out so much, it was one of the few highlights on last night's show. And number 4, the women's tag division gets time. Give Chelsea Green and Piper Niven credit for doing their best to make their unlikely tag team work, and to the WWE for giving its tag team division some TV time. Although last night's match between Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark against Chelsea and Piper was all about putting Nia Jax over as a marauding monster, the match showed promise for a future encounter. The big question right now is whether the WWE sees the tag division as anything more than a prop for putting over singles wrestlers as it did last night with Jax. Hopefully that won't happen, as Baszler and Stark make a good team, even though both should be competing in singles matches. But that was a good what about the bad, as number 1, Seth vs Shinsuke is so tired. The WWE continuing the Seth vs Shinsuke program is further evidence the WWE is having trouble booking opponents for its World Heavyweight Champion. The problem seems to be the WWE is focusing too much on who it doesn't want to book against Seth rather than finding a viable opponent. Cody Rhodes is obviously out, as the current game plan seems to be pitting him in a rematch against Roman Reigns. The WWE seems focused on keeping Gunther busy with the IC Championship, which rules him out for now. As for now, Damian Priest, he seems to be the wild card the WWE keeps in the background whenever the world title is at stake to build interest in a title switch. However, it's a wild card the WWE is unwilling to play. While Rollins is a fighting champion, the WWE needs to improve the quality of his opponents if it wants to make his title run noteworthy. Number 2, no direction on Raw. Last night's show was directionless and seemed as if creative threw its hands up, knowing that Raw is now facing stiff competition from Monday Night Football. Unfortunately, it's a scenario fans have seen every year, as the WWE fails to take any momentum it's built up over the summer and create storylines to keep fans tuned in to Raw rather than the NFL. Granted, the WWE isn't going to beat Monday Night Football, but it should be putting on must-see shows that keeps at least some fans who enjoy both wrestling and football from switching over to football. Number 3, Chad Gable loses to Bronson Reed. Chad Gable's loss to Bronson Reed was another example of the winner of a match gaining nothing while the loser lost even more. Bronson Reed was enjoying a push earlier this year, but he's lost so many matches of late that it made Chad Gable, who's been presented as the biggest threat to Gunther's IC Championship reign to date, look awful. Unless the WWE plans to start pushing Reed, this was a bad move. Number 4, Becky vs Natalya. Been there, done that. Becky Lynch and Natalya will always have good matches, but fans have seen it so often it's difficult to imagine anyone caring about this, especially when there are other women who could have wrestled Becky. As we'll see in the news, there will be several changes to Raw, including Tegan Nox not wrestling Lynch as planned. Nevertheless, Raw's women's roster has other talent that might be benefited from a Becky bout. Number 5, Vince McMahon in the house. Has Vince McMahon taken complete control of creative now that WWE and the Endeavor merger is complete? It sure looked like it from last night's show. Raw featured some matches that appeared to have come out of left field, i.e. Giovanni vs Tommaso and Chad Gable vs Bronson Reed, as well as more rematches of Ricochet vs Nakamura and Kofi vs Ivar. Now, it was nothing downright ugly, but it was a by-the-numbers Raw that didn't deliver and reminded us of how WWE's December shows where the company's creative department seems to go into hibernation between Survivor Series and the Royal Rumble. What did you guys think of Raw last night? Let us know in the comments down below. Now let's move on to the news. Our first story looks at Jade Cargill continues to dominate the news. If the buzz surrounding Jade Cargill's jump to the WWE is any sign of the push she'll receive, the former AEW TBS champion should be in for a strong push in the WWE. Let's look at the latest on Cargill's arrival in the WWE. So is Cargill confirmed in the WWE? Has she actually made the jump? While there's been no formal announcement, PW Insiders reporting that Jade Cargill was recently spotted at the WWE Performance Center in Orlando, Florida. Rumor had it that Jade was going to report to the center. Now 411 Mania has added that a source reported Cargill was seen leaving Orlando and flying back to Atlanta, Georgia. The current belief is that Cargill will not be on tonight's episode of NXT. If she does show up, it'll be quite the surprise. Perhaps AEW removed her? While fans have to wait for a confirmation about Cargill's WWE status, it appears that she's definitely done with All Elite Wrestling. Cargill is no longer listed on AEW's official roster on its website. If you adhere to the adage, where there's smoke there's fire, chances are you feel Jade Cargill's WWE debut is just a matter of time. Next up, WWE still made changes to Raw. As mentioned earlier, the WWE made some changes to Raw, but why? One match that was changed was Becky Lynch vs Tegan Nox. According to Better Wrestling Experience, the current NXT Women's Champion wanted Nox as her opponent, but she was turned down, with BWE reporting, Natty's situation was a creative board decision, a token of appreciation for her recent hard work. Becky chose Tegan, but they felt it was not best. Hope this clears the mud. As we noted in our analysis of Raw, a Viking Raiders vs New Day match was changed to a singles match. According to BWE, Xavier Woods was not cleared tonight. We'll get more info on him. They also moved the Ricochet vs Shinsuke match originally planned for after Rhodes' match against Dominic Mysterio. PW Insider noted that the match was shifted to push it back in order to push more star power to later segments as Seth Rollins would be involved. Next up, a WWE Return Cancelled. Is Matt Riddle missing in action? Or fans expecting to see him back on Raw were in for a disappointment as the Ultimate Bro was off the show. In fact, earlier in the day, Fightful's Sean Ross Sapp tweeted, Matt Riddle is not expected on tonight's WWE Raw, Fightful Select is told. This follows last week's incident at JFK Airport where Riddle was allegedly involved in an altercation that led him to being confronted by airport security officers. Riddle was then taken off last week's Raw and 2 live events reportedly due to illness. However, he was expected on last night's Raw. Now fans are wondering if Riddle is in the WWE doghouse yet again. It's worth noting that investigations have been launched both by the WWE and JFK Airport following Riddle alleging he was inappropriately touched by an airport official. Next up, CM Punk not suing AEW. Will CM Punk file a lawsuit against AEW following his termination for cause? Nick Hausman of House of Wrestling is reporting the answer is no and that Punk is happy to be free from the backstage drama he experienced in AEW. There's no info on whether AEW or Tony Khan intend to file suit. It may be in both parties' best interest to simply walk away. It's also possible that both sides sign an agreement to forego legal action and walk away, possibly with some sort of settlement. Next up, WWE morale backstage has been destroyed. It looks like the recent cuts at Titan Tower have devastated the WWE's office staff. PW Insider recently reported on the fallout from Friday's massive cuts, noting, to say that morale among WWE employees has been decimated would be an understatement. The report also stated that some employees believe the cuts wouldn't have occurred under Stephanie McMahon's tenure running WWE. And finally, Mandy Rose joins OnlyFans. And last but not least, Mandy Rose has officially announced that she is now on OnlyFans. Previously, she was on Fan Time, but has now probably switched platforms. The former NXT Women's Champion recently tweeted her fans that same attraction, new website. There's currently no word on why Mandy moved, but it could be better revenue from the site. But there you have it folks, I'll look at Raw as well as the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know. Be sure to leave your comments down below, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.